What's up, guys, and welcome to the Mike Sports Podcast Show. I hope this podcast finds you well, and I hope everyone is having a good day today. Thankful for all the listeners and subscribers to the podcast. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, please click the subscribe button, like, comment, interact. You can also find me on Facebook under Mike, and you can follow me there as well. And you can find some of my videos and podcasts there also. Um, been doing a lot of college basketball background work, and there was a particular team that stood out to me because I'm in Memphis and because in the state of Tennessee, looking at just the local area schools. Um, and this program stood out to me, and I want to talk about it. And if I had to give this podcast a title, I guess you could say, I guess you could call it the recruitment of the international player. The recruitment of the international player. Uh, so let's get into it. And the team that I want to highlight and that has kind of stood out to me is the UT Martin SkyHawks. The UT Martin SkyHawks. As we talk about the recruitment of the international player, and we get into it. And again, like, comment, subscribe, interact, as that's what this podcast is all about. Uh, so here we go. This is what really stood out to me and it has really impressed me so far about the UT Martin Skyhawks. Right now, they are, I believe, 3-0, and they've recently beaten Bradley, UNLV, and they play Florida State on tomorrow. But want to talk about the UT Martin Skyhawks for a few minutes as we enter this college basketball season and this new era of NIL and the transfer portal. As I made mention in the previous podcast, that it's been a cause of frustration for coaches to rebuild and a struggle to retain players because of the temptation of more money that's always out there and it's causing coaches to recruit differently. The pressure to win for some athletic institutions is just too heavy because of tradition and prestige of the school. It kind of makes coaches think outside the box. It forces coaches to think outside the box by who they can recruit and the level of players that they can recruit. Then you got to deal with chemistry on the court and off the court. You got to deal with style of play, and which is so important in positionless basketball. Um, but you have to deal with chemistry on the court, off the court, establish a style of play, and the college environment as a whole, the campus environment, all playing the role in the success of the team, which leads and impulses me to drive 2 hours north from my humble home in Memphis to Martin, Tennessee, home of the UT Martin Skyhawks. I have not made the trip, but I think one day maybe I'll make that trip to UT Martin and visit the campus up there. UT Martin, they play in the Ohio Valley Conference. Um, it's at UT Martin where I see a trend they can and potentially will shake up the landscape of college basketball, and it's the recruitment of the international player. For the record, I love what I'm hearing about the school, and I think they have a great program in Martin. The difference between the international player and a freshman or an American player coming out of high school, or even a transfer coming from a major, mid-major program is night and day. An international player um, at between the ages of 18 to 23 is most likely coming in with more experience. They come in having played against pros in their respective countries. They are more developed skill wise in that they just practice the fundamentals more. They are ready to play. They're very competitive, extremely coachable, and they're easy to retain sometimes. And for the benefit of the coach and flexibility of the athletic department as it relates to NIL, they are cheap. The level of cheapness doesn't diminish their value, but for the international player, the college experience, the environment, the coaching is of way more value to the player, which, when fully nurtured, can develop into a beautiful thing and can translate into winning. So this year, for the 2025-26 season, UT Martin SkyHawks men's basketball team is executing a unique and successful strategy heavily centered around international recruitment. For the second straight season, the Skyhawks have the most international players in NCAA Division One basketball, with 13 players from 11 different countries on the roster. This is a strategic decision, clearly by their head coach Jeremy Schulman, who values the hunger, humility, and commitment international players bring, seeing them as less entitled and more focused on basketball compared to some American players. So, the commitment uh, to for the love of the game, pretty much. When we talk about these international players uh, on this team, and I guess we can say in general, the love for the game of basketball amongst international players is very high, and they don't consider themselves above the team. They don't consider themselves entitled to have more or less because of their skills. You know, they're accepting and they're appreciative of just the opportunity to play basketball. They're focused on basketball, in comparison to some American players. So UT Martin, the team brought in a record 9 freshmen. They brought in 9 freshmen newcomers this season, contributing to the largest influx of freshmen in the program history. This international roster of diversity requires communication discipline. As you can imagine, as the team has implemented a rule to only speak English in the locker room to maintain unity. The Skyhawks are off to a strong start this season. They have pretty much a good record so far, playing good fundamental basketball, showing high offensive efficiency and defensive discipline. Uh, to make a comparison, and I hate to do this, but UT Martin played UNLV and they beat UNLV pretty good. UNLV played the University of Memphis and UNLV handled the University of Memphis. Now, UNLV and the University of Memphis, if you look at just all three of the programs, they are all run differently, all have different transfers, different from different conferences, major and mid-major. And UT Martin handled UNLV pretty good, and UNLV pretty much destroyed Memphis in their play, and UNLV was projected to be blown out by the University of Memphis. University of Memphis is supposed to be better than both on paper. It's supposed to be better than both the SkyHawks and UNLV. And the expectation for a University of Memphis is for them to win the game, pretty much, and to win by double digits. Just like I'm sure when UT Martin suits up against Florida State, the Florida State Seminoles basketball team, they are heavily favored. But that game could end up in an upset. It could end up extremely close. We'll just see how the ball bounces and how that game goes. But needless to say, the Skyhawks, they're off to a strong start to their season, and they are showing high efficiency off on offense and good defensive discipline. They pretty much match up in every position. Overall, UT Martin's basketball outlook looks promising for the season, with a distinctive roster makeup emphasizing foreign talent, which is just paying off from a competitive performance, and has become their recruitment hallmark and competitive advantage in a small town setting away from traditional power regions. And this strategic recruitment approach is helping UT Martin, I would say, above its weight in college basketball. It's giving them an extra punch to be away from the distractions. It's literally 2 hours from Memphis up north. And, when you're in an area where all you can focus on is basketball and just improving, what's not to love? If you're a fan of UT Martin, if if that is the main attraction in UT Martin, which I'm sure it is, their basketball program, um, everyone is bought in. Everyone is excited about their potential. UT Martin's development and retention strategies for overseas basketball players focus on creating a supportive environment that fosters growth, commitment, long-term player loyalty, and it's based off, I would say, uh, six key elements. I would say um, that is based off of. It's based off of personalized player development with the coaching staff. The program provides tailored training. I mean, continuous development opportunities to enhance player skills is more one-on-one. It's more time. This individualized attention helps international players maximize their potential on the court and feel invested in their progress. Then number two, of course, the cultural and communication integration. The diverse backgrounds, iron sharpens iron. And anytime you bring a diverse group of guys together that can learn from each other, growth is going to happen. Uh, but if it enforces a team culture where, um, like I said earlier, English is spoken in the locker room to promote unity and better communication among players, and this supports smoother social and athletic integration. So this group, in a nutshell, is constantly learning, um, and the whole player is being nurtured, not just the basketball player. Number three, intentional relationships, um, mentoring. Coach Jeremy Schulman emphasizes building genuine long-term relationships with players, focusing on their character and work ethic. This helps create a bond and encourages players to stay and grow within the program. And I believe this is what's really missing in college basketball today. Um, some coaches have the time, assistant coaches have the time, some don't. Uh, and that's not a knock on majors or major conferences and their coaching, um, but small market programs, small schools tend to have more time to spend with their players and build relationships. And that relationships creates a bond and loyalty and the desire to stay and grow within the program as opposed to every year transfer or looking to go somewhere else. Um, the fourth, uh, the fourth element that is doing is happening is the career and academic support, which at first was the bedrock in the foundation of the universities in the beginning, but that has kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. So, career and academic support, the program it offers guidance just beyond basketball, including academic support pathways for career development, which appeals to international players seeking a well-rounded collegiate experience. So, we're talking about the recruitment of an international player coming to the United States, building relationships with these coaches, building a bond with the school, building a bond with campus life, building a career beyond the game of basketball, with more opportunities here, of course, in America than maybe than their home country sometimes. The fifth element is creating cohesive team culture. UT Martin promotes humility, hard work, unselfishness, traits often found in international players, ensuring they fit well within the team's ethos and helping retain players who share those values. So they're able to find common ground and deal with the character of the player and not just the performance aspect of the player. Then finally, the sixth element is just the institution, institutional leadership, their backing and stability. You know, most small schools, their coaches, they stay a long time. They stay in their place a long time. And so, one thing, international players and even players that are, athletes in the small markets don't have to worry about is their coaches just leaving for whatever job just comes available, just because it's a higher paying job. Some small market, some small schools, universities play because they stay at their schools because they genuinely love the school and they genuinely love um, small market. So the athletic department fully supports um, Coach Schulman's international recruitment strategy. He has the support of the AD in regards to this, and that is making them successful. It provides stability, it provides resources critical for player retention. Together, these development and retention strategies create an environment where overseas players they feel valued, integrated, and motivated to stay and contribute to UT March success over multiple seasons, allowing the program to maintain its distinctive international diverse roster. So it's almost like I think this is a coach's dream. This is a major coach's dream, a mid-major coach's dream to be able to establish this type of retention, this type of culture. And I think that the recruitment of the international player is going to be something that's going to be looked at and it's going to be followed. I think a lot of people are going to look at UT Martin and kind of follow their lead. And that's not to say that Coach Schulman is going to stay there forever. If the right job comes along, he's going to do what's best for him and his family. Same with his staff. So um, this strategy of recruiting international players as opposed to just the American player or the American transfer uh, is something that I see that's going to continue to grow. For mid-major men's basketball players like those at UT Martin, the average NIL earnings typically range from 15,000 to 30,000 annually. This is extremely significantly lower than Power 5 or Power 4 conference players who average around 170,000 in NIL earnings. Um, NIL budgets for mid-major programs often hover around somewhere between 300,000 to uh, 500,000 or more total for the total program. Uh, and they simply just provide support money to athletes with modest deals, endorsements, appearances, um, sponsorships, things like that. Some major role players have reportedly landed six-figure NIL offers, but these are, acceptance rather than the norm. So Cooper Flag probably made more money in college than he's making right now. Of course, I don't know that. I don't have any facts to back that up, but some players make more money in college than they would in the G League. Um, some make more in college than on the NBA roster, uh, just depending on the level of talent or player that they are. UT Martin's smaller scale basketball program likely they experience NIL opportunities on the lower end of the spectrum. Though the program has a third party collective to help athletes, I'm sure, increase and have access to local NIL deals. These earnings help with retention and recruitment through deals that tend to be less lucrative than those seen at larger, high major schools. Overall, when we look at mid-major players, they expect to make in the lower tens of thousands of dollars on average per year through NIL, with outliners earning more depending on individual marketability and team success. What the UT Martin basketball program is doing is remarkable um, and commendable. Uh, I'm really going to be watching how UT Martin plays this year. Last year, they went 14 and 19, and they were 9-11 in conference with a young team. This year, they bring in the players that they retain, and they bring in their international talent. And I'm not going to go into who their leading scorer is, or who's on the roster, and even necessarily where they're from. But if you look at their roster, uh, they're from all over the world uh, playing the game of basketball together as a team, as a group, playing together, and I think it's great. So I'll be watching for sure and cheering for their success, especially since they are a local team in the state of Tennessee. So just want to drop that. Um, I guess you can call it a team, local team nugget of college basketball. Looking forward to some of the games um, tonight, tomorrow, this week. These college basketball games, and be on the lookout. UT Martin SkyHawks. Check them out. Of course, go Tigers. We in a rough spot right now, but let's continue to support them. Um, we all know Tennessee Vols. They're always going to be good, but University of Memphis is in a tough spot right now, and hopefully Coach Penny can get it together. And hopefully, we can grab some. We have some international players on the Memphis Tigers team, and they, I believe that they are um, going to make an impact. Hopefully, we're able to retain them. So, just want to highlight the UT Martin Skyhawk basketball team. Again, if you have not subscribed to this podcast, click the subscribe button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you can also follow me on Facebook. Check you next time. Got more content on the way. Be safe out there. Take care. Enjoy the game.